My name is Aaron Webb, and I'm excited to dive into how you can scale and simplify Mac compliance in your organization. Now, Mac adoption in the workplace is accelerating faster than most traditional compliance models can keep up. And today, I'll show you how Apple's architecture, mSCP or the Mac Security Compliance Project, and Declarative Device Management or DDM, delivered via the Jamf platform, combine to create continuous, provable compliance at scale. So let's get started. So let's kick off with the compliance landscape. The compliance model that worked 5 years ago simply doesn't keep pace with OS velocity, distributed workforces, and modern audit expectations. Now, macOS evolves annually, and rapid security responses, which are incremental security updates from Apple, evolve even faster. Compliance failures rarely happen because controls don't exist. They happen because organizations can't demonstrate they're continuously enforced. Regulation isn't new, but enforcement is. Auditors aren't asking whether you have controls, they're asking whether you can prove right now that they are active. Mac is secure by default, but security and compliance aren't the same thing. Apple builds security into silicon, the operating system, and the architecture itself. Compliance, however, is not about how a platform was designed, it's about how it is configured, enforced, and validated over time. Auditors don't evaluate intent, they evaluate evidence, and evidence requires continuous state assurance. That's the shift that we're about to explore. They want to know which controls are active today, how you verify them, and how you detect drift when something changes. The real challenge for most Mac teams isn't deploying secure technology, it's turning secure design into continuous defensible proof. The macOS Security Compliance Project, or mSCP, is an open source framework designed to translate regulatory requirements into macOS specific controls. In simple terms, it turns policy language into technical configuration. It's the bridge between regulatory intent and enforceable settings on Apple devices. Without that translation, compliance remains theoretical. So let's take a closer look. The project maintains a library of security rules, each mapped to one or more compliance frameworks, whether that be NIST, CIS benchmarks, or any of the others. You select a framework, run a script, and generate tailored outputs. So baseline YAML files, human readable guidance documents, MDM or mobile device management configuration profiles, and shell scripts for checking and remediating settings. So here you can see there are a number of frameworks represented: NIST, CIS, STIG, CMMC, and some others. The important point isn't the specific acronym. It's the fact that mSCP maps each of these regulatory frameworks to macOS native configuration controls. So whatever framework your organization aligns to, mSCP provides a structured, validated baseline that translates policy into technical settings. Apple builds security into the hardware and the operating system. They have also recently redefined management with something called DDM, Declarative Device Management, which we'll go into in more detail in a moment. Now, what that does is it allows Apple devices to maintain their own desired state. And that's great, but organizations still carry the burden of proof. They must demonstrate that controls are active and continuously enforced. Now, traditional compliance validates periodically, whereas declarative compliance validates continuously. So if we look at that combined with the mSCP, mSCP defines the what and declarative defines the how. Now, as I mentioned, Declarative Device Management or DDM is Apple's modern approach to managing devices. Now, unlike traditional NDM, where the server sends commands, DDM lets devices manage themselves based on declared configurations. Now, this isn't an incremental improvement, it's an architectural change. DDM isn't just a feature, it represents a fundamental shift in how Apple believes devices should be managed. Instead of continuously sending commands and checking in, we define the desired state and the device maintains it. The desired state is expressed through declarations, and there are four key types: configurations, which define what the device should look like, settings, restrictions, accounts, and the policy itself. Now, assets provide the supporting data that configurations rely on, so things like credentials or reference information that may vary by user or device. Activations determine when and where those configurations apply. They allow policies to be applied conditionally, based on device type, OS version, or even status changes. And then management conveys the overall relationship between the device and the organization, establishing the management state and capabilities. Now, together, these declarations allow us to define not just what compliance looks like, but when it applies, how it's enforced, and how the device reports changes. Traditional MDM asks, are you compliant? Declarative management says, this is the compliant state. The device applies configurations locally and it evaluates activations dynamically. It reports status proactively and it even does so offline. So think of traditional MDM as remote control and think of DDM as autopilot. And this is distributed intelligence at the edge, and it's what enables continuous resilient compliance at scale. So let's compare the two. Traditional MDM is a command-driven service. The server sends instructions and the device checks in, and the compliance is validated periodically. Declarative device management flips that model. Instead of asking the device, are you compliant? We declare the desired state and the device enforces it. And that changes responsiveness. It changes scalability and it changes the compliance posture. So traditional compliance is reactive validation, whereas declarative compliance is continuous state management. And when enforcement moves to the device itself, compliance becomes more resilient even when it's offline. So now let's take a look at that declarative model, how that declarative model is operationalized in the real world. So in short, DDM will make managing devices easier. You'll be able to create more complex management strategies that give you finer control over the devices that you manage. You'll have better visibility into your devices, allowing for more active and accurate management. And because much of the management burden is taken over by the devices themselves, it should ease the load on networks and servers. Now, Apple has clearly stated that DDM is the future of device management, but all you have to do as an IT admin or IT manager is to make sure that your MDM solution is taking advantage of everything that DDM makes possible. Some organizations will start with a broad baseline across all devices. Others layer in risk-based controls for higher risk users or data. And in practice, most mature teams blend both within this operating model. Now, this is not a product workflow. It's an operating model. And it's an operating model that mirrors Apple's philosophy. Define the desired state, declare it, verify it, and self-correct when drift occurs. Whatever framework you align to, whether that be NIST, CIS, STIG, mSCP provides a mapped baseline, but defining a baseline is only the first step. The real challenge is operationalizing it continuously across thousands of devices in different locations with different users and constant OS updates. Compliance doesn't fail because the guidance is unclear. It fails when enforcement doesn't scale. So the question becomes, how do you take those mSCP baselines and turn them into continuous, enforceable state across your fleet? Let me show you what that looks like inside the Jamf platform. Jamf helps approach Mac compliance with our compliance capability available directly in the Jamf platform. Some of you may already be familiar, others this may be new to you. So let's take a look. I'm going to start by exploring compliance on the left menu. So let me just grab my demo here and let's go straight to it. So compliance here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to click compliance. And as you can see here, what it does is it loads up a screen that is going to allow you to start creating your own compliance configurations or your compliance benchmarks. So I hit create a benchmark, and as you can see, it's pulling all of those mSCP baselines that we explored earlier. So I'm going to go for CIS Level 2. As you can see, there's lots of different ones here that are available to you. You've got the ones from CMMC. You've got the latest for the Netherlands, the Dutch government organizations as well. I'm going to just pick for this particular demonstration CIS Level 2. So you can give it a name. You can also give it a restriction. What you're also able to do is monitor only. So you can select and see how your compliance looks like across your device fleet before you go and enforce those profiles. So you can see what your compliance state is before you actually start to go and make those changes. Or you can tick monitor and enforce, and that would actually apply those changes for you and keep that monitoring ongoing as well. We are just going to go with this one for monitor only. And then when you're ready, just press next. Now, we can actually scope this out. It might be that you want to actually start with a particular department or a particular set of devices that you've got in a group. You can define the scope. So you might actually want to create a different scope depending on what you want to do with your compliance rollout. We're just going to go for all managed devices. And you can see here all the rules are listed out. So it's taken all those mSCP baselines, it's pulled those in for you, ready to go. You can actually untick them. So if you don't want all of these, by default, the blueprint is already created. You can untick it. You can also go and see more details. So you can see what actually that does in terms of the configuration itself. If you want to search, you can just use the search bar. So if you want to know what's happening, particularly with Bluetooth sharing, for example, just type in Bluetooth. It takes you straight to that rule. You can see it selected, and then you can go from there. So we are happy with those CIS Level 2 benchmarks from the default. We're going to go next. You can then see here which ones are going to be enforced. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to save and deploy. So here is a benchmark. I've created that. You can see that it's in progress. If I'll go on the drop down and click on view, I can now see that benchmark overview. I've got CIS Level 2. I can see the status. I've got 67 computers impacted. I can see the compliance score. It's not compliant yet. I've got none that are compliant. I can see the management settings, and all have been deployed, all 19 of those. I can then go in and see the active rules. There's 126 more to go and look at. And then I can get auditing documents as well. So depending on what operating system that I've deployed or my Macs are running, I can actually pull out the auditing documents for each one. I can then go to a rule report. I can see here the benchmark rules reporting. I can see which each rule and which one is passed, which one's failed, which ones they can even view the devices themselves. So I get a full compliance score here, even though I only want to monitor. If I'm happy with that, I can start to make changes. I can then go and enforce those as well. So that is a very whistle-stop tour of how easy it is to take those benchmarks and deploy those out to your Mac fleet. Now, if you want to create separate blueprints, you can do. You can choose your own configurations and deploy them out. We've made it super easy for you to pick a benchmark from mSCP and then deploy them out to your Mac fleet. So Apple builds secure declarative devices. Jamf ensures that that architecture scales across thousands of Macs without introducing complexity. To make it simple to realize these outcomes, we've introduced Jamf for Mac. It's our single offering that unlocks everything you need with a unified platform that simplifies device deployment, ensures compliance, and empowers you to proactively manage security risks on your fleet you care most about, the Mac. Now, Jamf brings management, identity, and security together in one unified Apple native platform. So admins gain full control and visibility, enabling them to streamline workflows, enhance end user experiences, and proactively protect the organization's Mac fleet with ease and precision. Now, rapid security responses and same day OS support are critical for regulated industries. It's critical for anyone deploying Macs. Delayed support creates compliance gaps, and Apple moves fast. Your management platform must move with it. And because of our Apple focus and our history of same-day support for Apple, we're uniquely positioned to speak on not only compliance, but the best way to integrate Macs into your existing ecosystem and help scale your Apple deployment with speed and simplicity. Now, this is great, and you may be thinking, how are other organizations like mine approaching Mac compliance? Well, let's take a look at the different environments and industries where we see customers implementing Mac compliance with ease. Now, the common theme across all of these industries is that compliance must scale without adding friction. So, for example, I'm not going to dive into all of these. You can take a look for yourself on the screen, but supporting IT education can pose unique challenges. Now, as teaching evolves, instructors and students expect more modern learning experiences and flexible technology options. Now, this requires IT leaders to support student data, public research, BYOD programs, and globally accessible collaborative networks, which often across thousands of diverse endpoints and dozens of physical locations. Now, the pace of modern software updates significantly impacts this work, and at the same time, those education institutions are rising regulatory and public pressures, such as meeting like NIST requirements or CMMC requirements for federally funded research. They may need to comply with FERPA or HIPAA mandates protecting student and health data. Now, all of this means that, like, really, they need to actually keep ahead of those increased cybersecurity incidents. And combined with like the macOS Security Compliance Project and Jamf, these education establishments are able to remain on top of their compliance. The same for healthcare, the same for how we're managing Macs in the enterprise, the same for Macs in the finance in industry as well. Everyone's got different compliance needs and different compliance models that they're facing, but Jamf can actually help them do that at scale. We've also got many customers who are pleased with how they've rolled out compliance. It's saved them a lot of time. Here's just an example from Nick at the Bibliotech Public Library. You can see here that compliance was paramount to them, and choosing Jamf has really helped them meet those regulatory obligations and do it with ease and at scale. Another thing that I really want to call out is that Apple want users to be productive in minutes. Now, when you are rolling out compliance, some of them may be to Macs that you've already got in your fleet. They may have already been rolled out, but do think about the device lifecycle as well. Ensure that Mac compliance is part of that onboarding process. It can happen in the background. You can use automated device enrollment, but what we really want to make sure is that that user is productive really, really quickly. Go and check out Setup Manager. It's a great tool produced by Jamf. It's available on concepts.jamf.com. Go and check it out. It loads things in the background. It makes sure that a device is set up and ready to go even from day one. So even if you're going for a device refresh, it's great to set up and configure. The end user gets to see what's going on in the background. It's about transparency and privacy, but also making sure that that device is compliant. So IT know that it's ready as soon as that Mac is unboxed. It's also worth noting that this approach isn't just theoretical. Now, Jamf is consistently recognized by independent analysts as a leader across device management and security. And that recognition reflects both our Apple native focus and the trust enterprises place in Jamf to operationalize Apple securely at scale. So, as we close out, let's take a recap of the session. With Apple devices, compliance doesn't need to slow down productivity. By mapping regulatory intent to the mSCP, enforcing benchmarks through declarative device management, and continuously monitoring and remediating drift, compliance can happen in the background. Users get fast, seamless onboarding, and why IT remains provable, audit-ready security from day one. Now, these are the key takeaways from today's session. The idea really taken away from here is that you need to translate regulation into technical controls. You need to be able to enforce those controls automatically. You also need to be able to detect drift continuously and then remediate quickly when that device falls out of compliance. And that's all to prove compliance with real audit ready evidence. And that's what modern Mac compliance looks like, built into the device, scaled through automation, and simplified for the workplace. Before we jump to the Q&A, I'd like to leave you all with a few additional resources, not only from ourselves here at Jamf, but also from the fantastic resources from Apple. So this webinar can help you take the next step in implementing Mac compliance in your organization. Now, Apple offers a fantastic course on Mac security compliance. It's free and it's available online. So check it out at IT training, apple.com. Go and put it into a browser, just search for Mac compliance Apple. It will take you straight to this page. It's really worth checking out. It takes about 5 hours to go through continuously, but it gives you great step-by-step guides. It will also cover mSCP in more depth. Also goes into Declarative Device Management. Go and check it out. It's really worth a look. Here at Jamf, we're proud of our community, Jamf Nation. We have over 100,000 members all over the world, and great things that the great thing about this is that this community comes together to help each other. So even if you're not a Jamf customer, and the chances are that you might search for a solution to your Apple deployment online, you may end up at Jamf Nation finding a solution from one of our members. Check it out when you get a chance, and bookmark it on your favorite web browser if you haven't done already. For those of you who are already Jamf customers and would like to meet Jamf Nation members in person and Jamf as well, check out our Jamf Nation User Conference, or JNUC. This year we are in Kansas City, September 23 to September 25, and registration is now open. We hope to see as many of you there as possible. That's it for this session. I hope you have found this insightful and learnt some useful information that can help you with choosing a security framework for your organization, and how Jamf can help you achieve Mac compliance with simplicity and at scale.